Okay, thank you, Tatiana. Fremont Art Association is very happy to introduce Debbie Wardrope as our guest artist today. Debbie paints in various media, but soft pastel is her primary medium of choice. Her demo today is titled Capturing Light in Soft Pastel, and she will illustrate the versatility of the medium in painting light to, to enliven landscapes, seascapes, and cityscapes on paper. Debbie, welcome to Fremont Art Association.
Thank you so much, Mary, and thank you all for being here. I really appreciate it. I want to give you a quick warning. So I have a lot of animals that live with me, and sometimes they get a little crazy. So if you hear a lot of barking, I apologize in advance. And also, I have a Chihuahua in here who snores when she sleeps. So just giving you a heads up. Okay. All right. So pastel, yes, it is my primary medium. It's my favorite, actually. And, a lot of times when I'm doing a demo, like if I'm out at downtown Pleasanton or something, people will come by and they're like, oh, is that chalk or is that oil pastel? And I always say no. And I try to explain what it is. So I'm going to go over that with you too, in case you're not familiar. So soft pastels are just manufactured by taking mineral pigments, the same powdered pigments that you find in oils and acrylics and watercolor, and they mix them with a binder. Sometimes they put a filler in if it's a harder pastel, but basically they're just pressed into stick form and left to dry. And so there's no chalk, no oil that's added at all. And I've been using pastel as a medium since my college days. And that was a really long time ago. So you know that it's been a long love of mine. So what do I love about pastel? Well, first of all, pastel is a really direct painting medium. What you see is what you get with pastel. You put a mark down and it stays exactly like that until you decide you're going to change it. It's a dry medium, so no drying time means that you can pick it up anytime, whenever you want, without having to worry about drying times at all. So if you have just 10 minutes, you can fit in some painting without worrying about setup and cleanup and all that. And you never have to wonder if the colors or the values are going to change. If you're painting in the wet mediums, that does happen. So it will never change because it doesn't have to dry. And it also makes plein air painting a breeze. And it's a super flexible medium as well. You can use it with a watercolor underpainting. You can do even a thin acrylic underpainting with it. You can put a wash down with rubbing alcohol and pastel to make your paper, away the white of the paper, whatever you want to do. And you can layer and you can blend colors with pastel. And they're super easy to fix. If you make a mistake, very simple to fix it. And pastels are actually easy to clean up. When my kids were little and I'd be painting and suddenly realized it was time to go pick them up at school, I could just jump in the car and go get them, and I didn't have to worry about my brushes drying out or cleaning anything up like that. So it is messy. The dust does fall down, but a quick vacuum or a wipe down with a wet cloth takes care of that very quickly. So, and pastels are just simple. You just pick up the stick and you use it. You don't need to add any medium or mix any paint. They're ready to use anytime. And so they can be used in many different ways, no matter what your painting style is. It can be used very realistically, and it can be very impressionistic, very painterly. And pastel paintings age really well. Because there's nothing really added to the pigment, they are light fast and they will last forever. There's a lot of Degas pastels that were painted on cardboard that are still totally vibrant and beautiful today. So there's no fading. They do need to be framed under glass. You come up to one and you make a swipe, even if you use fixative, and you're going to have some damage. They do have to be kept under glass. Speaking of fixative, if you use that, it's not my favorite thing to do, because what it does is it actually can change the value in your work. Sometimes it creates these weird little dots on there, so I don't really use it. There is one that I do use occasionally on a large piece, and that's called Pastel, and that's pretty good. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go over to my easel and I'm going to, oh, I'm sorry, I forgot one thing. So I'm going to share with you the start of the painting here. So let's see. So what I generally do is occasionally I will put a grid on my photo just to kind of give me a guideline for where I want to put my focal point. So in this case, I am going to move a tree because I can, because it's a painting. And I'm going to move it over more on the focal point because I love the light of that sun coming through. So this will be the basic setup for the painting. And then another thing that I do is I manipulate my photo. And the reason that I do this is because when I'm blocking in the painting, I just want to see big shapes. I don't want to see anything else, just big shapes. So then the actual painting, or actually what I'm going to work from, is going to look like this. Okay, so hopefully you can see that pretty well. So that manipulated photo takes away a lot of the detail that I don't want to have right off the bat. Okay, so any questions before I start?
We will have questions along your demo.
Okay, yeah, sounds good. Okay, I am going to go over there. And my notebook with me. Okay, so pastel wise, let's see. This is weird. Okay. So pastel wise, what do I have? I have a whole variety of things. I work with pastel pencils occasionally when I'm doing architecture. I have a lot of different very soft pastels, which means they're mostly pigment, very little binder. And I have new pastels by Prismacolor, which are very hard pastels. Let me see if I can show you here. So this is a Prismacolor. Whoops, not sure how to go here. This is a Prismacolor stick, and what's nice about these is they're very hard, so they make a great first layer for the painting, and they can do a lot of detailed work. Use them on the edges and stuff, so I like the shape of them too. The very soft pastels, a lot of them look more like this, and you can see if I rub it on my finger, you'll see there's a ton of pigment in there. I can go the right way. Ton of pigment on there very quickly. So I tend not to start with the really, really soft pastels. And let's see, I think that's it. I have some medium soft ones as well, but the brands that I use are generally Terry Ludwig, Great American, the new pastels, like I mentioned. I do use some Sennelier and Unison. So those are the ones that I use. I have quite a collection of all of them because it's always better to have more pastels. All right, so I already talked to you a little bit about changing the composition a bit. So just go ahead and get started. A couple of things about my setup. Basically, what I do is I put it on the easel, I put it on the board, I tape it all down. I like to have a little extra room around the edges. And the reason I do that is because sometimes I decide I want to change the composition up a little bit. And paper has that flexibility. So I kind of started like this. And I also put down a foil tray so that what will happen is that as I do the pastel, it will just drop straight down into the foil tray, which is great. It doesn't fly around or anything like that. It just drops directly down here. I can just fold it up, throw it away. Another thing, let's see. The paper. This is UArt sanded pastel paper. This is the 400 grade. It's kind of a medium grade. They have a wide range of grades, but this is kind of in the middle. The lower the number, the more grit will be on there. So the more grit means more layering, but sometimes it can also eat up your pastels. The other ones are a little too fine for me. You can't get quite as much pastel on there. Another thing I like to do is use gloves in a bottle. When I go to paint, I just put a barrier cream on my hands. It kind of protects them and it makes it easier to wash your hands when you're going to do that. Let's see. Okay, so that's pretty much the basic setup. And I'm going to go ahead and get started. So one of the things I did with my reference is that I manipulated it a little bit to lighten it up. So I'm going to do a little bit different sky than what's there because I think it needs it. Oh, another thing about my setup is I have a tray here on my easel. So when I want to have the colors as I paint, I keep them here so that I know how to find the colors that I've used. Okay, so without further ado, I'm going to get started. So I'm going to start at the very top, and I am using a very soft pastel for this just because I want this color on there. So I'm going to go ahead and just start here. What's going to happen here is because I'm putting blue at the top of the sky, and it's mostly a sunset down here, I have to put a barrier here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use some pink right in here. Because of course, the blue plus the yellow is going to make, oh, am I drawing a little bit here? The blue and yellow is just going to turn it green. So I do have to have something in here that I think looks really well. Let's throw some pink in the sky. Start there. Okay, and so I'm just going to be blocking for the first phase of this. And let's see how that goes. Okay. Light. A little bit of gold, I think. This. Okay, so I'm going to layer a little bit. So I'm going to put this really soft pastel in, a little bit in here, not too much because it's take over. And I'm going to go over it with my yellow. And go around the fills a little bit here. And there's quite a bit of light yellow kind of coming in here. So I'm going to, the sun is very intense around where it's coming from this tree. So I'm going to put a little bit of there. Okay, and then I kind of need a peachy which good. All right. I'll put a darker pink down in here. And then I'm going to put a little bit of, so I'm going to wait on that. So a little placeholder there. Okay, so one of the ways that I approach the painting generally is to put in the lightest light and the darkest dark first. So I'm going to put in my sun right there. And then I'm going to make it a little bit lighter than that. Okay, so nothing can be lighter than what's right here. And then I have some darks that are in the ends here where I want to put in dark. I'm going to do, I think, a dark green in those areas. I'm just going to do the right in here. One of the vines in the front, and this vine in the front as well. So I'm going to add a little blue to that just to darken it more here. So you can see I pretty much scribbled just in the first days here, just trying to get in the basics. I'm going to turn this into a tree. So the actual photo had a big tree up here that was kind of hanging over. And I don't really want that there. It's kind of awkward for the composition. So I'm going to put in another, I'm going to make it and this also having the dark over here will help bring your eye back into the composition. That's good. And I'm going to find my grayish purple. Pretty good. So these hills are in the distance. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to just put kind of a grayish purple down here to send them back and face a little bit. And up at the top is where I get a lot of like pink. Oh, let's see. It's got a really pretty kind of orangey pink glow along the edge. So I'm going to put some orange down first. And the case where candy. So I'm going to put a little pink over the top. Not light enough. I'm going to start getting that glow going. Here. And we'll go to this side. That color that's getting really lit up there by the sun. Light. Pressure is really important in pastel, so when you're painting with pastel, you might use a lighter touch when you don't want to add too much pigment. And I'm going to use some purple here. This is a really dark blue purple, but I always, pastel, when you use pastel, you are doing the same process that you do with oil and acrylics. You put down the dark and then you can add the light on top. Okay, so I need to have something going on in here with this tree. So I'm seeing it as kind of a terracotta color. So I'm just going to do it in terracotta for now, and then I'll add some green over it. So,
Debbie,
yes.
can you please say again the names of brands you use for of soft pastels?
Yes. So I use Unison. I like Unison because they offer sets like in blue violet, or which are the cool blues, or they'll offer a lot of different sets of colors. If you buy a set of pastels, a lot of times it doesn't have a good range of values, and sometimes it's missing things like oranges or good reds. So that's a good alternative. I also use Sennelier. I like their I think it's the Paris collection, and I really like that. It's a good one to take, like if I'm doing demos down at the gallery or anything like that. So because it's pretty free, full range of values. I also use Terry Ludwig. I use Great American, which I love. And let's see. Occasionally I do have some Rembrandts. They're harder pastels, but sometimes they're useful. And I also use the new pastels by Prismacolor.
Thank you. Thank you.
Sure. Okay, so I'm going to go on blocking in this tree. I'm going to make this tree probably a little bit fuller than it actually is. Here. Here. And just sticking with big shapes at this point. Nothing small. This. This is all subject to change at this point. So let's get this all in, and we'll see how it goes. Yes, you want that light coming through that tree. I love backlighting. There's another tree that's actually positioned below this, but it's not a good spot for it, so I'm not going to put it in. Okay, now my vines in the background, also kind of a dull olivey green, kind of back here. The horizon there. Oop. Okay, so now I get to show you how to take it off. So what I do to take off the pastel, or just to remove most of the pigment, is just to do this. And it pretty much takes it right off. And I just make sure that it's pretty well off there before I put another color on. So that actually should be, that gray should actually be the orangey color in here, which this is too bright, but just a little bit here. Now I'm going to see it. A little of that color over here. Across. So I'm going to rise in. All right, and then I see some nice orangey color right in here. I'm going to go back to pastel and just put the orange in. Okay, and then I have a line of trees that's actually back here. So I'm going to put in a little bit darker green for that. This is in the distance, so it can't be too dark. So I'm just going to put some pigment on there and we'll see what I do. It's very light in here, so I'm not going to do it there. It gets darker over here. So that's kind of just a placeholder. Different colors. So when I get away from the manipulated photo, I'll be able to see more of what's going on in there. Okay, so there is some kind of olivey green in here. And there's a bunch of trees. There's actually a road running through here, but I'm not going to put the road in. Make it up. One thing that's nice about painting is that you are not married to the photo. You can change it up any way you want. Okay. Now, let's see, the vines. So the vines, I do kind of want to put in where I see the light areas. So I'm going to come in here, and again, I'm just going to block in the big shapes of light that I see. I'm not trying to be too specific at this point, but definitely, oh, and my green down. This is my favorite part of the painting process. It's just free. Okay, so those are the major light areas there. And
Hey, Debbie,
yes.
just a heads up, your head is in the camera, so it's throwing your painting out of focus, and it's also blocking what you're doing. So you might
Want me to just move it so it's closer?
I think you'd be happier if your head was not in front of the camera.
Yeah, I would definitely be happy about that.
And it's also throwing the camera out of focus, so the painting is out of focus. So
Is that better?
That's much better. Let's see how
Okay,
that
good. Sorry. Thank you for telling me. I don't know. I'm not watching myself. So just
You're
adding
doing a
on my-
lovely job. It's a wonderful demo.
Oh, thank you. So just blocking in those big shapes again. And I see some back here, so I'm just going to throw that in here. No, it all looks like a bunch of scribbles, but it'll work eventually. Goes in here, but I will add light with the dark also. Okay, now I'm going to put in some of what's down below here. Let's see, pretty in here, rose. So, too dark. Same, that's the same color. I like that color. Much lighter green here, just to remind me I need to keep that light. So one of my little tricks that I like to use is a spring whenever I'm doing perspective. So I keep dental floss in my studio along with tape. So if I need to do perspective, usually what I do is throw it on the floor. I put this at my vanishing point, and then I can easily check my perspective like this. So it's just a really quick, easy way. One of the best things I learned in college was that little trick. This way. Coming through here. That's dark in there, so I'll wait for a minute. Here. Just like that. All right. Coming for that. And then I've got some darker areas. There is a color that I really love in the Terry Ludwig, and it is called Aubergine. And I'm looking for it right now because I want to use it for my darks. No, no, this is okay. I'm going to put purple in here because I love purple. You can ask any of my painting students and they will tell you that purple fixes everything. Here, make your line. I'm going to put some placeholders for the vines over here. Let's see that. Bring that down, and then I actually have to come up with some round line here. I've got these right here. This is a stake. Here. I can see enough in the manipulated photo to change that. Inches. I'm using a big chunky pastel for this. And it's this. Is that right? Okay.
Debbie,
Yes.
we have a request if we can see the reference photo.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
Let me see. A virgin here too, just in case. Okay. Here is what I'm working from. And this is the manipulated photo. Can you see it okay?
Yeah.
Just right here at this angle. There we go.
Mm-hmm.
So this is just big shapes. That's all I can see right now. And I have it on my iPad. I like to work from my iPad. But I always print out the pictures too, just to have it, handy. Sometimes it's helpful.
Thank
Okay. Here. This way. And then in here. This. There's some light in there. Okay, now I'm going to block in the rest of the vines, and then I'm going to switch probably to my regular photo. Oops, a little bit more dark. I don't know what I'll do in the foreground. I'll probably just put some bright in here for now. I do need a little bit more dark green in this area. I can't really tell what's going on in this area. It's dark, so I'll just block it in dark. All right. Now I'm going to go ahead and put in some darker colors for the vines, and I'll go over the top of that so I get a mix of light and dark in here. And they're not really this dark. shapes. And then there, I'm trying to see what's in here. It looks like there's some light coming through here, so I'm just going to throw a little one in there. Okay, and then this side is definitely darker, so I'm going to fill this in without mark making at all. And then this side, this is lighter. This is my lighter area, so I'm probably gonna block that with a little bit lighter green. Okay. Just a little bit of green in here. All right, that's fine for the blocking phase. I am going to put in a little bit of here. All right, now I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to switch over to my actual photo so I can see what's really going on. Okay, so my hills over here are very gray, purple. We've got a lot of blue in it, which this does not have a lot of blue. So I will add some blue so you can see the layering. So put it back in this kind of gray purple. Down some of these trees. Such beautiful light coming in here. I'm going to get that color. I'm going to put a little bit. I'm going to use a new pastel over the top of that. So sometimes I combine the two things. Only I don't have one light enough. So I like to combine the two different types of pastels at times, depending on how much pigment I want to end up on the paper. So I'm using this, it's very soft. I'm just trying to keep it kind of light. A little bit. Hold that in. Back behind my tree here, so I changed the tree quite a bit. Okay, so that's a start there. I need to go back to the sky and work on that first. The sky in the landscape really informs what's going on in the rest of the piece. So I want to make sure that I kind of get that sky in. I am a smooth sky pastel painter. Everybody is, so I'm gonna use my finger just to kind of get some of that pigment going in. And I don't use it a lot. I just kind of okay, not loving that. So a little bit darker, I think. We can't get too dark because we did light in the landscape. So it comes out. I'm just using the pot pastel just to blend in that color. There's too well there. Okay. Then we need to add some more of that pinky color, but I'm not thrilled with the pink I used. So let's see. Okay. Still a little light, so I'm gonna go over it. Just a little bit of a blue. Let's see if I can make it a little more purple. Here. I get my fingers very dirty sometimes, so I'll have to clean them off. Okay, that's starting to work. All right, and then I need that really mellow, really warm sky. When my pastels get dirty, I usually just use a paper towel or something to kind of wipe them, and they do get dirty fast. Believe me. Just a little bit warmer, a little bit more on the coldy side. Get rid of that blue. So this kind of comes over to about here, and then it's going to change, get a little bit more yellow. Cool. I'm also wipe these off on foam. That also get a little more intense over here by the source of light, sun, but I am going to tone that down. Okay, now move that tree a little bit. Sky holes. And more of this color over the top of this. Again, that's where the sun is, so you can warm this here. And like I said, pressure is really important with pastel, so I'm pushing a little bit harder in this area. Blend in. Yep, don't have enough pink there. Here, a little bit of pink in there just to blend. Some more. Okay, so I'm going to let that sit for now. It's not as blended as I would like, but nope, not at all. Okay, well, we get the idea. So I'm going to go on and start a little bit on the tree. So it's got some green in it, and I started with the terracotta because there's so much light coming through there. So now I'm going to layer the green right on top of it. And that will still keep it kind of light and interesting. So I'm just going to go ahead. Normally, I would just block the whole tree in this as a solid pink, like I'm going to do over here. But in this case, it's kind of a so some speckles. And we can change up anything we want. So if I don't like the tree, if I feel like it needs more to it, I just add more foliage. And I feel like this one definitely needs more. So, more I need to add branches and things like that. There. And that should be okay. I don't know how big this is at all. Okay. Now I'm going to add some light on the edges there of that tree. And I want kind of a, it's like a reddish. Give it that glow. And then I'm going to add just a little bit, I'm try a little orange too. So it's getting wiped out. So just all around that area, just very, very light. So you can start to see it makes it feel like it's much more glowing. And it probably comes into this area too, just a little bit. Nothing here. It's some light. I'm gonna add a little bit of yellow here. That is. Oh, and I'm gonna clean up that little spot where the sun is. Okay, so there's a start there. I'll show you how I block in the tree. And then I come in and I put my sky holes in. So as I told you, the painting process on this is the same as you would do in oil and acrylic. You just block in this tree. I think I went over too far with the tree. So but I'm using blue because it gives a lot more light than green underneath. Trees have quite a bit of light on it. It's a little tree. Okay, so that would have some of the this color coming through. So I'm gonna make some sky holes. Where the sky is, I need a different color for that. This is a little light though. Change that. Okay. Well, that's enough for now. And then so I think I'll just put some big shapes on there right now of the light that's showing in there. And you always want to mash your forms when you're doing trees. You want to try to capture the character of the tree a little bit. So I always kind of like this. What color this is. This tree actually has a lot of blue in it, so I'll probably add some blue there. So I will come back into the dark areas at some point and put in some other color, but that gives you the kind of basic idea. I think I would add some trunks in there. Use that as a trunk. Get a big tree. Right, now look and see. So in the distance, there's some trees along the horizon line, and they're getting some light, but they're very fuzzed out, kind of. So now I'm going to lay in a little bit more of the dark. And I'm just going to keep it darker down here, and then I'll put more light on top. Lighter as they get closer to that sun. So they need a little bit of an olivey green on one. And looking for a new pastel to over them with and not having any luck. Let's see. Look at this. So they're getting a lot of light over on the edges. I don't want them too light, so I'm trying to let them blend in with the dark. Just kind of the light. Get darker over there. Most of the light is just at the top, so I'm just going to put some light in there. Here. Darkness. A little bit darker. They're going to get a little bit darker as they move away from the sun too. So I'm going to change. A little bit darker one on the other side there. Just going to take a Rembrandt, which is a harder pastel off as much. A little bluer on this side just to show that it's a little bit of that. I'm just going to go over my dark just a bit to kind of soften it. Okay, now as it gets closer to the sun, like I said, it gets lighter. But it's still got some dark underneath, so I'm going to go a little bit more of this. That still has to lighten up. So one of the things, the tools that I have that I like to use is this color value isolator. I do not know. And it's just a little thing that you can buy. You can easily make this for yourself out of a piece of white card and just punch a hole in it. But it's a way to kind of check your values and see how you're doing. So you can check it against your photo and your painting. Okay, so I actually need to go a little bit lighter than what I have. One disadvantage to using the iPad for this, though, is that it does have so much light coming into it that it can kind of fool you about the values. So I'm just going to get lighter as I go here. This is really light. Okay, now I need to worry about those hills a little bit. They're behind there. So I am going to put in some yellow here. Light in this area. Is that orange? And then up in here, my hill starts to get really, I have to go a little darker than that because it's going to go too much into this side. Use a very light touch on this, just scoot over. This part. Okay. Just waiting to happen. All right, and then I see some pink here. Use a dull. This is one of my favorite colors in the new pastel. very handy for paths and things like that. I don't think you can see it too well, but really good for that. And it's good for kind of dulling some of this color in here. Light on my hair, so I'm going to use some of it. So get rid of that. So really, this is pretty far. A little bit into here. Again, very light touch, so it's just putting off a little bit of pigment. And the hills have trees. It's not necessary to put those on. Gotta get rid of it at the top there. And I feel like it needs a little bit more orange in here. Really light coming in. And I'm going to working this up too. Here you can see a lot of layering goes on. All right, we'll leave that as is and come back to it later. One more thing I need to do. Finish this whole. Okay, and go to the other side. And let this mix darken a little bit. Getting enough. Very ambiguous in here, so this is a light coming through, kind of washing shapes in there, and probably will need to dull it. Not gonna work. Purple, that works. But fairly dull back there. Okay, I'm gonna go back in and add just a little bit of that. Okay, I'm gonna go to the other side. Finishing this off, I'm gonna raise my fillet here. And that's got a lot of light coming through. So I'm gonna add some light. A little bit of orange in there. Okay, and then the hill gets kind of back to kind of this bluish kind of color over here. There's some light that comes in here, but I'm gonna put this in first. There's a whole bunch of houses in the picture, but of course I'm not going to put in. Put some anyways. Those out. I'm going to add a little blue. On this side. I really need to lighten up that hill and mess that up. So I'm going to find my paintbrush. I'm going to take. Oh, I see what I did. Okay, never mind. I need to add the yellow and the orange for the top. Right, coming in on that, but there's a lot of I still need to get that a little bit darker in here. Just blue in there. And my colors of my trees over here are darker and duller. In there, I want to get to the vines, so I'm gonna move on to that. See those. Go back to kind of a terracotta color, and now that I have the actual photo, I can see that this is all pretty much dark and dull on this side. And then the brightest area is going to be right in by the tree right in here. So let's see that gold. And then some of that glow right in there. And then I have to dull down the other side. It's got, the vines are so variegated. This is from Livermore. So the vines are really variegated. So you kind of get greens and golds and all kinds of down. Didn't bring my tree down far enough, so I'm gonna.
Debbie,
Yes.
excuse me. You're standing in front of the camera again, so we can't.
Sorry. I will. Okay. Let me see if I get it even a little bit closer here. I'll try to stay away from it. It's hard. You know what? You get into your painting and you start painting the way you paint. But thank you for telling me, because
That's okay, I understand.
I don't like that color. It needs to be duller. Watch myself. I'm gonna dull all this down because we're moving away from the light. So I don't want it super light there. And then it kind of transitions again to kind of a terracotta color in here. I'm gonna put some green over the top of that area there. A little bit. There's a little bit of the terracotta coming into this. Okay. Right. Next row is going to be again kind of a dull orangey color. We've got some green down there. That's too bad. This one. Oops. A little bit better. I'll put some gold over the top. This one is just permanently pretty. Pretty much come down to my vines at this point. So in those areas. And then I'm going to go ahead and put over the top some light. And I'm using a new pastel just to kind of get a little bit more pigment on it so it doesn't overdo it. And then again, there's some green in there, so I'm going to add some green. A little darker than that. There's actually a row of olive trees that's in here, but I'm not going to do those at all. Okay, so we're almost down to the vines here. I do need to incorporate this just a little bit more. And I think I'll put in a little bit of dark green just to indicate some of the rows here. Just a little bit in here. Separate that out a little bit so you can have a feel. Like this. Finer. Just a couple hints, just to kind of suggest. Maybe just kind of dot it, a little bit. So let's just soften those lines. I don't want a bunch of hard lines back there. Okay, so I think should probably finish this part. Some of the gold in here too, just a little bit. Okay. Now we need to have some in there eventually. Okay, I'm going to start with that end row with the vines, and I've got them basically blocked, but there's a lot of stuff to be done to those. So try starting with kind of a maybe green shapes. Oh, I left out the this one. Got it. And you have a manipulated photo, you really do see it differently, which is good. Trunk. I don't know. I don't think I'm going to put there's a stick kind of at the end of the vine. I don't think I'm going to incorporate that. I'm going to leave it alone. Give me a little light to just play off that for the values in here. Okay, so I'm not going to be super precise with these. I just want to suggest those. So there's so many colors in these, so I'm going to be switching up with the pastels a little bit here. And just let what I already put down kind of work for me there a little bit. Color. So that the light comes off. There you go. some dark, over that light. Arm that comes this way. This way. Oops, crumbly. It's an old one. A little pop of color into here because I want to get that sense of light in these ones. Still need to have some goldish colors in there too. You can see I'm still overall doing big shapes, not really putting in too many small shapes. We have to spell every single thing out. Using the dark underneath to give you more colors. So I'm gonna come in and I've got some really pretty reds and stuff coming in on this one. Golds again. Crazy. Let's see. I have a gold again. All right, sometimes you try them and they just don't work. Orange that are this. Some are too yellow, some are too red. So in here, I see I've got a lot of red, so I'm going to put in some shapes. I'm just going to let that orange come through. Here. Still kind of blocking. Maybe just a little bit of this really, really beautiful light. Get that sense of that in there. Just making marks.
Debbie?
Yes.
I have a question.
Sure.
How long it takes you to finish like this size of painting?
I'm not the world's fastest painter. So it just depends. It depends on how much time I have to work on it. I would say, that's the hardest question to answer. I don't know. As long as it takes. How's that? It
I
just
got it.
depends.
Yeah, I
You
understand.
know, how much you mess up, how much you need to adjust. You know, sometimes, I mean, I just finished a commission not too long ago and I realized I had the perspective wrong in one area. And so I had to go in and correct it. And it took a while. It just takes as long as it takes, really. And I'll stick with it until I finish it.
Mm-hmm.
So whatever it takes, it doesn't matter. It's a labor of love, right?
Yeah. Thank you.
I get that question a lot. I should probably find a better answer, but it's true. So I'm starting to get a sense of different colors in here. I'm gonna just go in and put some color in here, mix it up. One way I can put it is they always take me longer than I think they will. I'm always so optimistic at the start of a painting. And then after a while, I think paintings all go through a phase of like, okay, this is great. And then, uh-oh, this is not so great. And finally, you end up hopefully with something you're halfway happy with. Okay, I'm going to go to this darker area here because I need to get some color in there. And I feel like I'm going to bring the lines up more. I want this one to be higher. So it should actually be. Always corrections, constant corrections. And more. Painting is so much of problem solving. And that's why it's good for our brains too. Not in here. A little bit more. Too much. One of the colors I really, really like is an indigo blue made by Prismacolor. But it's a really, really dark blue. It's what I use to block the tree. And if I'm not getting enough dark, I will often add that. But in this case, it's not even enough. So I'm going to try softer color. Dark area in here. I'm not sure. If that doesn't work, I will go back to my. Then I need blue green. So one of the things I do with my painting setup is that I have these boxes that I use, and I keep my colors separated into warm and cool in each of the color feelings. So I have blue violets and red violets in separate areas. I have my ultramarine blues in a separate area than my kind of warmer blues, phthalo blues. So it makes it a little easier to find what you need. I like this color, kind of tea leaf. It's really pretty in there. Cast it dark a little bit. Warm it down a little bit to give it some contrast against that light there. Starting to work. I think I still need more in here. And then I'm going to bring some of that blue. But I'm not, looking. I'm trying to just look at the character of the leaves as I put these in, and the movement, the gesture, rather than looking at every single little leaf. Shape is funky. I don't like the shape. So I'm gonna over again, give it more contrast there. And I feel like I need more light in this one because it's going to look like a black void if I don't add a little bit of color. So yeah, go a little brighter than I was planning on. I love color. Oops. And there goes a pastel. That happens a lot. Those on the floor normally have a like a rubber pad underneath so that if they fall, they don't break into a million pieces, especially the really soft ones. But move it. Unfortunately, it was hard pastel. Okay, I want to bring in a little line in here, break that shape up. Okay, I'm gonna just keep going on here. So that. And there's more dark in here. Oops. That's kind of random how the light hits in this. Right in here too. Here. Just little double light, double light. There. Then this pretty light coming in here. So yeah. Variegated vines. This is mostly dark. Just a touch. A little bright. Another dark area here. This one's a little closer, so I might put a little bit more detail on the leaves. And then dark in there. Okay. I might put in some of that sense of light for you in these. There it is. And just figure out. So these are, so there's a dark that runs here. And then we've got areas of light here, down in the dirt. A little bright, so I'm going to dull it just a bit. And then nice dark area in here. Just a bit. Beautiful green that comes along here. A little bit. Nope. A bit. Okay, that needs that dark against it to make that. Oops, sorry. It's got a lot of warmth in it too. Put a hint of it in there so I know. Do it. Let's see. A little bit of light coming this way, and then I need more dark over here. So, just to get that contrast there. Warmth in here. There's a lot of purple. And then I think I'm gonna darken the blue down here just for now. Start to get more of a sense of that light coming in here. Let's lighten it a bit here. Where it can go. Purple in there. Some dark blue. Contrast again. Down into the ground where they belong. Okay, so we have a nice shadow maybe here. Around there, so I know myself to do that. And we have a lot of reddish color in here and some into this grass, I guess. over red orange. That's it. Right. Got some really nice shadows going on down in this area. Some shadows coming in here, and they're coming from these lines. Just trying to get a sense of that light coming through there. Can't really see too well what's going on there. Okay, so now we have some shadows going. And I think I can just put a little tealy color in here. Shadow in here too. Yeah, right here. Darker over here because it gets pretty dark. You can just let that line. So there's actually a stem and a stick. So that one out. And so some of the stuff needs to come around here. I think there's some blue here. So now I need some darker color in here. These lines here. Okay, let me see. I'm just going to go ahead and bring it down in here. Oops. So I don't want a ton of light over on this side because I want your eye to come into the painting. So your edges, you always want to pay attention to your edges. Just kind of, I tend to like to dull them a little bit. Some colors in here, not that one. Which you're just going to have to go way down in there. Go over it with the gold to put the dark down, and then I can go over it lightly if I need to. Which I will probably put some little sparkles. Okay, so this has a little bit more light. color into the darks. We're on this side. So. Right now, I feel like I need to put in. So I'm gonna make it a little bit more gold. Want some color first to make it lower. No, not the right color. Let's see. So I have a little bit of a dark line in here. Separate it a little bit. Really need to darken up my tree. You have to reconsider where this line is right here. I don't want it to be weird. Like this tree is growing out of that vine. Oops, I need to put those on the same plane. So that. This one. Okay, now I'm going to go ahead and put in a little bit of a darker in here, just kind of skip. And I'll put a little bit of a wrist in there. Sometimes you try stuff and it works, and other times you try it and it doesn't, and it's okay. So I think I still need to have more light, a little bit of light coming in this side. No, I really can't tell what's going on there at all. A little purple maybe. Yeah, just a energy there. I'm going to put a few little shapes just to indicate that these are vines. I don't want to spell these out. They're way in the distance. So I'm going to put some shapes in that I suggest. Some of that up in these colors. Okay. So let's see. Still not dark enough here. Here. Maybe that contrast. It's right. But I also don't want it to look like a void. Here. Contrast is what really makes your lights glow. So, see if we're carrying it down more light here. I kind of bounce all over the painting. I don't always stick with one area. I work on it kind of overall. I get bored with one area and move to a different area. Get some mark in here. Mine itself, I'm going to put a little bit of lighter blue on there to make it a little bit. This blue. This one. Line up there. I see some of it in here too. So a little bit of that just for some interest. Yes, a little bit that runs here. I just want to have other colors in your darks too, because I want that to be empty. A little difficult to tell what's going on with this vine because it's running into a tree. It almost looks like it gets really high up here, so maybe I'll go a little higher. Oops, sorry, there goes the dogs. Go back out there. So sorry. They let me know when anyone's here or something else is going on.
Debbie,
Yes.
we running out of time.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness,
And
really?
yeah, I wanted to ask if somebody have any questions.
Great.
Yeah.
I am gonna. This.
Actually, I have a question.
Sure.
Do you usually use varnish or some kind of like
Fixative?
fixative? Yeah.
No, I really don't because it dulls the colors. To me, the beauty of pastel is layering the colors on top of each other to get that luminosity. And a lot of the time when you use the fixative, it just completely just dulls it down. And so like the Krylon in particular, it creates these little dots on there and it looks terrible. It's terrible. The Lasco fixative, I can use that. It doesn't seem to do the same thing. It also doesn't fix it as well. So there is that.
So how you preserve it? Like glass or plastic?
Under glass.
Under glass.
Yeah, it has to be framed under glass, or you can get treated plexiglass also.
Plexiglass.
Yeah. Yeah, you always want to keep it away from the glass or the plexi, just to make sure, use spacers so that it's.
So you make sure they're not touching each other, glass and your painting.
Right.
Oh my God, that's good to know.
Yeah, it's not a big deal if you do it. I have done it before, but it does, like if you take it apart, you're going to have a lot of pastel on your glass if you frame directly to the glass. Yeah. If you're doing a smaller piece, it's not that big a deal, But I usually, all I do if I'm framing a small piece by myself, I usually put in just like a little bit of that foam tape
like around.
just in the edges, but you can get plastic space to do it too.
Thank you. I love the painting, and it really has this light over there in between branches. It's so beautiful.
Oh, good. Thank you so much. I'm sorry I can't get further for you. If I finish it, I will send you a picture.
Oh yeah, I actually love the roughness of the foreground and smooth texture of background. It gives like so much contrast, and I kind of love that it's not finished yet.
Yes, you know what? Sometimes I like it a lot better when it's not finished.
Maybe you can leave it like that.
Yeah, it's so hard because there's such a fine line between too much and not quite enough, right?
Yeah, that's true.
So that's, I think, the challenge with anything. It's just trying not to go over the line with it and just know when it's done. And my guideline for that is just to say, you know what? If there's nothing I'm doing that's really making a difference and improving the piece, it's time to stop.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. Thank you. And I want to mention this blue spot. It's so beautiful. It's contrasting with all warms and yellows and oranges. It's just like vibrant, and I love it so much.
Oh, and you know what? That's my favorite blue. I love it. I add it to everything. Shadows,
what is the name of this blue? Is it
it's an ultramarine blue.
Ultramarine blue.
Yeah, it looks a little greener on the screen, but it's really beautiful. Almost, it's more on it leans toward the purple side.
Yeah.
So
it looks amazing. Thank you for the demo. Yeah.
Oh, my pleasure. It's so fun. It's just fun to paint. So,
Debbie, can I ask a question?
Yes, please.
What is your vision for finishing off that the bright purple in the front? What do you imagine in your mind that end result?
It'll be dulled down, but it will still definitely have the blue in it. I still need to bring over some of the shadows and stuff into that side, but I'll dull it down to a certain extent, but probably it'll stay pretty blue. I'll probably add it in some of the shadows in the I don't know if you can see my cursor, some of the shadows in here underneath the lines too, just hints of it, because I can't leave just that big patch, right? So you see I've got some in the hills, and I'll definitely bring it in somewhere else, and it will definitely be toned down.
So you tone it down with a darker blue, probably?
Let me look at my picture real quick. Let's see. I would bring some areas of light into it and definitely darken, especially along the edges there. So it will have to be darker just because of the way the light is coming.
It's really beautiful. We can't wait to see it finished.
Oh, thank you. Thanks. It was my pleasure.
Thank you. More questions? Thank you very much.
Oh, thank you. Thank you for having me. I love doing it. It was great. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Debbie.